Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Chef D, and I'm here to give you the winning ingredients for your Week 6 DraftKings Showdown slate we got going on for this weekend. This is going to be your first look at this 11-game slate we got going on. Let's hurry up and get into this. Before I do, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We are currently at 513. Our next goal is 1K, okay? Next goal is 1K. So let's continue to support. Let's continue to like. Let's continue to subscribe. Pass it on to someone that is also involved in DraftKings, football, anything sports related, okay? Pass it on. All right, so now let's start off. We're going position by position. Let's begin off with the quarterback spot, and that will be Patrick Mahomes. We have the struggling Kansas City Chiefs coming into this game going against the Washington football team, and these are the top two worst defenses going up against each other all at the same time, all right? All in one game. So let's flip the ranks over, and you see it right here. 32nd ranked is the Chiefs. 31st ranked is the Washington football team, allowing over 308 yards passing, and then 301 yards passing for the football team, and well over 5 touchdowns combined, okay? So we have a perfect game script here. You can go either side with this. If you want to go the Patrick Mahomes side, stack it, and then bring it back with a Washington football team player, or you can go with Taylor HEINICKE, stack it, and bring it back with Kansas City Chiefs, high-priced wide receivers and pass catchers, okay? You can get really creative with this, but we're going to start off with Patrick Mahomes. This is definitely a get-right spot for him. The upside of him that you saw in Week 4, the upside of him that you saw in Week 1 and 2, that can be applied for this game against Washington. They've been giving up a boatload of yards and points to opposing quarterbacks, all right? So we love this game script all around, okay? Kansas City, Washington is something you should have a lot of, or a piece of, in your lineups. Next quarterback we're going to look at will be Justin Herbert going against the Baltimore Ravens. The weak spot of the Baltimore Ravens happens to be their secondary. You saw what Carson Wentz was able to do against this Baltimore Ravens defense on Monday Night Football. This is a short turnaround on Sunday, and they're going up against Justin Herbert, who's been red hot fire. 4 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, and 4 touchdowns the last 3 weeks. Okay, putting up 30, putting up 45 against Cleveland, and Cleveland has a very good defense. So that was something surprising to see. Almost threw for 400 yards. Now going into Baltimore, we're hoping we get positive news on Mike Williams. He was unable to practice. Probably that's just a little bit of maintenance, and we'll see what happens Thursday and Friday. But he still has Keenan Allen. He still has Jared Cook. He still has Austin Eckler. A ton of weapons for him to get that ball down the field against the Baltimore Ravens, who have been struggling against opposing wide receivers. So we love Justin Herbert at 7,300. The next guy we're going to go to will be Matthew Stafford. I was going to say Dak Prescott, just in the scenario of, I understand it's Bill Belichick, but this Dallas Cowboys offense is just on a whole nother level. They're really putting up a ton of points. So that one is a speculative ad. If you want to go to Dak Prescott, he is 7,100. But the guy that should be safe will be Matthew Stafford. Funny, because Dak Prescott just faced the Giants. He had 27 DraftKings points. Now you get Stafford in a situation where they can run this Deshaun McVay offense up and down the field against the Giants. This is probably going to be a blowout. It's questionable if we'll see Daniel Jones at the helm at quarterback. But the problem is the Rams offense going up against the Giants defense, and there's just too many weapons for the Rams that the Rams have going up against the Giants defense. And then on the other side, how are the Giants going to move the ball against the Rams? Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, There's a ton of injuries on the side of the Giants, so this one can get out of hand quickly. I do prefer the running back I do prefer, Darrell Henderson on this side, but there's still uh, reasoning why Matthew Stafford can have a really good game. McVay probably is going to just run up the score, and that's where you can see Stafford profit and Henderson in that running game profit as well. Okay, so we like Matthew Stafford at 6,700 going up against the New York Giants. Next, we have Taylor Heinicke at 5,800, a cheaper option at QB. I have a couple cheap options for you guys. Heinicke has that gunslinger mentality. Struggled against New Orleans. New Orleans has a solid defense, but Kansas City on the other side does not. And you can see the upside that Heinicke does provide to this game. Against Atlanta, he had 27 fantasy points. Against Buffalo, 23, and that's a very good defense, and that was in Buffalo. And then against the Giants, he scored 24. So a little blip against New Orleans. I think he bounces back. Like I said, he's going to go balls to the wall. He's going to take chances, and he provides rushing upside. He has 40 yards rushing the past 2 weeks. Scored a touchdown against Buffalo. He is not shy of running outside the pocket, and he can provide a lot of fantasy points. This is somewhere you can unlock a lot of salary. If you go Heinicke, continue on with the Washington Kansas City stack, and then finish it off with some higher upside choices in the rest of these games. So Tyler Heinicke, definitely loved at 5,800. Let's see if we can find someone else. I have two more guys for you. Carson Wentz against Houston, okay? Houston has a poor defense, and Wentz had a very remarkable performance against Baltimore. They came up short because that defense faltered at the end of the game, but we saw some upside from Carson Wentz. Didn't really rush the ball, which he does. He can provide that, but he really threw the ball very well. 402 yards passing, 2 TDs. Michael Pittman's looking like a standout. Mo Ali Cox is stepping up. Jonathan Taylor and NYHEIM Hines are big weapons coming out the backfield. As you saw, Jonathan Taylor scored on the first drive, a 76-yard touchdown pass. It was a nice little screen, and he took it all the way. So Wentz has some upside going up against the Houston Texans, and the Colts are home. So we like that choice at that cheaper price at 5,400. And then last but not least, do a game stack. I think Davis Mills can get something going, especially how we saw Indianapolis in their defense. They've been struggling. They're ranked 22nd in the league against the pass. So now Davis Mills, shockingly, played very well against New England. Indianapolis does not have the corners to stop Brandin Cooks. Brandin Cooks can have a big game. And alongside of Chris Conley and Chris Moore, who stepped up in place of Danny Amendola, this could be super. Not telling you this is 100% guarantee here. This is a shot in the dark if you want to have that 1% guy, because no one's going to go with this type of stack. Okay, they really aren't. All right, this is a shot in the dark, and I'm going to take it, especially what I've seen from this Indianapolis Colts defense. There's a lot of holes. Okay, they can definitely put up points, but that defense is fast. They can stop the run. But I did not like what I've seen in the pass coverage department. So Davis Mills, if you're looking at the bottom of the bottom, then you can definitely go there as well. Okay, so but our favorite choices are MAHOMES, Herbert, Heinicke, Stafford, and then Wentz. All right, let's go over to the running back position. Let's scroll all the way up to the top. Christian McCaffrey is going to be on our radar. We have to make sure that he is cleared to play by kickoff. So this is going to come down to Sunday. If he's out, then you can go with CHUBB. He's at a nice cheaper price. But if McCaffrey gets the thumbs up, then he should be, relegated back to his old form as you saw in week 1 and week 2. 20 plus rushes, 6 targets in back-to-back games. So he's going to be used in all facets if he is playing. So you have to be mindful of that injury report, okay, on Sunday. So that's a speculative ad. We like Christian McCaffrey. Next will be Austin Eckler. I think he's one of the safer choices. in fantasy football. Is if you got him in your home leagues, that was a great selection. I was more predicting an injury from him. That you shouldn't do that, but he has been outstanding. Outstanding. 22 in back-to-back games in week 2 and 3, then stepped it up another notch in week 4 and 5. Could this be a little downfall against Baltimore? We'll see. But being used in multiple facets, like you see, rushing 17, 15, 11, and then in the receiving game, he has 4 straight games over 5 targets. He's being very efficient with those targets, and he's getting used in the red zone. That is the key as well for Austin Ekeler. Ekeler had a problem scoring touchdowns in previous years. He is putting that rock in the end zone, and they are really succeeding the LA Chargers. Okay, so we like Ekeler. Next, I'm not really going to Aaron Jones. I don't want to touch that running back against the Chicago Bears defense in that low tempo and low scoring game, which would probably be in Soldier Field. Nick Chubb, I think I like both options. Okay, for Cleveland, Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Chubb is obviously 7,200. He has to get his 100 yards and he has to get that touchdown for him to meet his value at 7,200. I prefer Kareem Hunt because he can rush and he's getting a ton of work in the receiving game. But if you choose to go with Nick Chubb, I think the path and a way of victory for the Cleveland Browns to beat the Arizona Cardinals, and I'm calling this an upset. I like the Browns over the Cardinals, but I think that they're going to have to, I know that they're going to have to run the ball. All right, keep the ball out of Kyler Murray's hands, control the clock, and limit their opportunities. Nick Chubb can provide that. Him and Kareem Hunt are going to be very good plays for this week. I think they both have great games. All right, 7,200 is Nick Chubb. We'll get to Kareem Hunt a little bit later. I want to avoid Ezekiel Elliott going against the New England Patriots, even though I don't know what Belichick is going to try to stop from Dallas. I know he doesn't want to get passed on. That'd just be worse. That really might be worse. You can go Ezekiel Elliott. He is getting a ton of work, and obviously his best friend is Dak Prescott. He's getting a touchdown almost every single week. He got 2 against the Giants. I'm liking what I'm seeing out of him. It's the old Zeke, still getting plenty of touches. He's in over 20 rushes a game, still getting a little bit of the receiving work. Tony Pollard is getting a little bit of his, but Zeke is more of a fresher back now with the balance that they have between Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott. Okay, so I do like Zeke. Jonathan Taylor, we just spoke about. The Colts, so we're going to obviously take advantage of the Houston Texans defense here. I like Damian Harris last week, so that means I love Jonathan Taylor and NYHEIM Hines this week. We can go with either one of these guys. Obviously, we prefer Jonathan Taylor. He's getting the bulk of the work. He's seeing 60+% of the team snaps. Hines is seeing 41% of the snaps for their offense. So we're going to go with Jonathan Taylor. But if you need to save some salary, you can really take a shot on NYHEIM Hines, and that's not too bad. Next guy we're going to talk about will be Antonio Gibson. And Gibson is currently questionable going against the Kansas City Chiefs. I told you this is a perfect game script. He did miss practice on Wednesday. He did receive a fracture in his shin, a hairline fracture. He's playing through it, so we will have to wait and see on the injury report by Friday. So if Antonio Gibson is out, obviously the next best option will be J.D. McKissic, and he obviously is a very dangerous pass catcher out of the backfield, so he provides upside as well. So just be mindful. You got 2 guys to be mindful about, Antonio Gibson and Christian McCaffrey. Next, one of my favorite plays at the running back position will be Joe Mixon. Detroit is still the worst rushing defense. He came back from his ankle injury last week, got 10 rushes, got a touchdown. But I think he's going to get back to his full workload, similar to what we saw in week 1. And he can really take over and be the number 1 running back for this week. As long as he continues to go through practice for the rest of this week and gets that full go on Sunday, he has the perfect matchup against the Detroit Lions. Okay, Joe Mixon at 6,400. Keep him in there in that flex. I think he's one of my favorite plays at the running back position. Next, let's see if I can find you some cheaper guys. I spoke to you about Kareem Hunt, 6,200. If you want to, shave $1,000 of salary, look at the production from Kareem Hunt. As you can see, 3 weeks in a row of double-digit fantasy points. He really only had one bad game against Houston, which was rather shocking. That's because Chubb went off. But in these back and forth game scripts when they need to put up points, it's really, really competitive. They're both eating very well, and you see the receiving work that Kareem Hunt is putting up. 5 of 6 in week 5, 6 of 7 in week 3, and 3 of 3 in week 1. So the upside, he's giving you a little bit of everything, doing more than Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb has to have that 100 yards and has to get you that touchdown, okay? So be mindful of that. Next guy, another one of my favorite. I love the mid-tier running back. Another favorite guy that we got is Darrell Henderson Jr. He has become the workhorse for the LA Rams. With Cam Akers out, he's looking phenomenal. As long as he stays healthy, he should be on the up and up. And now going up against an even better matchup against the New York Giants. They're going to have enough to worry about their 3 wide receivers, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and Van Jefferson. Henderson should have easy lanes in the middle to really pound the rock against the New York Giants, who are currently the 27th ranked rush defense. So that doesn't bode well for them. We're going to, let's take Taylor out, and we're going to put Henderson in here because he's one of him and MIXON are my 2 favorite of the week at that running back position. Okay? Especially at their price. It saves you some salary to pay up at other spots. Maybe if you want to pay up for a KELCE or TYREEK Hill, I think you can do that. I think that'll be a better option for you guys. Let's look at some other cheaper people. Let's see. We have the Damien Williams, KHALIL Herbert. They're splitting carries. Currently, Damien Williams is questionable. Not saying this is a love. This is something that you need to monitor because if Damien Williams is not able to play, KHALIL Herbert at the cheaper price, which is, let's see, KHALIL Herbert is at 4,600. He'll become the bell cow. And this Chicago Bears team is running the ball a lot. They are limiting Justin Fields and just running the rock like a college style. And they're not really opening the playbook for Justin Fields as of yet. They're easing him in, working the run game. But if Damien Williams out, KHALIL Herbert will be the guy in that backfield. All right. So let's continue on. Let's see if we can find you some other cheaper guys. Let's see. We just spoke about Damien Williams. We're going down. Okay, here we go. Now, we have a chalk play right here in Darrell Williams with Clyde Edwards-Helaire out for this week with that leg injury. Steps in Darrell Williams and Jerick McKinnon. So you can pick your poison, but obviously when CEH was out, Darrell Williams took over, and he had 5 carries for 27 yards, and then he had 3 receptions for 18 yards. They used him as the lead back once CEH was out. So obviously a lot of people are going to be on this play. The game script could be very crazy. The touchdowns could go to, Byron Pringle, can go to Jerick McKinnon. It could be weird things can happen with Kansas City Chiefs because they spread the ball so much. But he has the opportunity now. Just be mindful. He's going to be highly, highly owned. All right, if you go the Darrell Williams route. Another play that I do have, we spoke about Jerick McKinnon, J.D. McKissick. I combined the name. It's crazy. We got J.D. McKissick. I spoke to you about him. That's if Antonio Gibson is out. And then NYHEIM Hines. If you're looking for players below 5K, I think these 2 scat backs are decent options to put in as your number 2 RB. Make sure you solidify that RB1. But these guys have upsides. As you can see against Tennessee and against Seattle, NYHEIM Hines was able to take advantage of the receiving game, 5 for 54 and 6 of 48. So that type of sneaky upside is very good if you're saving salary. All right, so now let's move over to the wide receiver position. And you know what I like to do? I like to pair my wide receivers with the quarterbacks I already spoke about. So with Patrick Mahomes, that means we are going to go with Tyreek Hill, and we're going to go with Mecole Hardman, okay? If you want to throw darts at cheaper guys on this roster, fine by me. If you want to go that Josh Gordon route, I don't advise it because we're not too sure. He did not get much of a snap count. It was below 30%. So we're going to stick with the main guys, and that's Tyreek Hill. 13 targets last week against Buffalo. He had a lot of drops. He would have had a huge game if he didn't drop the ball literally like 5 times. Maybe you can blame it on the rain, but he should be used to that playing in Kansas City. I think he has a bounce back performance. We like him at 8,500. Next guy will be Mecole Hardman. With the struggles of Tyreek and limiting the exposure to Travis Kelce, they did a good job on him. Mecole Hardman was able to come down with 9 receptions, 12 targets, and 76 yards. He can literally take it to the house on any given play. The upside is there. He hasn't had a touchdown since week 3. This should be a game script where he can fully explode the Washington football team. All right. Other wide receivers we want to go with. Let's look at the opposite side of this game. We have Terry McLaurin at 7,100. If you're doing a Kansas City stack, make sure you bring it back with this main guy right here, or maybe maybe another Washington football receiver, which I'm going to talk about very soon. But Terry McLaurin is the main guy. He had 24 targets in the past 2 weeks. Had a 33 fantasy point game in week 4. Little bit of a downgrade against New Orleans. Obviously, they have a solid secondary and they focus their coverage on him. Kansas City struggles, and they should. Well, Taylor Heineke and Terry McLaurin should get things back going, similar to what we saw in week 4 and week 2. So I love Terry McLaurin at 7,100. The other option we're going to look at in the receiving core won't be Adam Humphries. It will be DeAndre Carter. He stepped up week 4, got a little bit of work. I know he got a touchdown. I think it was a kick return. And then you saw an upgrade and uptick because the injuries to De'Ami Brown, injuries to Adam Humphries. He stepped up in week 5, 4 receptions, 8 targets on 62 yards. Even got a rush for 11 yards. This man is a very explosive wide receiver. That's why they use him on special teams and as a wide receiver. Carter can definitely have some big upside at 3K. No one's going to be playing him. They're going to be looking at other guys, and you can get you a gem at the min price. So we like DeAndre Carter. Samuel's probably going to be out for this week. Did he even practice? Was on the side of the field training during practice. So he was held over. He's dealing with a groin. That's not too good. So we'll see about news on him. But if he's out, obviously I like McLaurin, and then I like DeAndre Carter. Let's continue on with our wide receivers. The next group we're going to go with will be the Los Angeles Rams, and that's Cooper Kupp. That's Robert Woods. They kind of not been alternating. Cooper Kupp has dominated the first 3 weeks, came down just a little bit the last 2. Robert Woods has been complaining about usage, so that's why you see a little bit of a balance the last 2 weeks. Robert Woods was able to get 12 receptions, 14 targets on 150 yards against the Seattle Seahawks, and now he's going to go up against the Giants. I see it more of a balanced wide receiver group from this LA Rams, and either one of these guys could go off. So I advise you to play some of each. I can't really pinpoint which one exactly because this game can definitely get out of hand and they could just run the ball. But I do foresee Woods and or Kupp to have a great day. And then if you're looking for a third option, a cheaper option, it would be Van Jefferson getting just above 50% of the snap share in the 3 wide receiver sets. And he is a boom bust guy. As you can see in week 1, got you 2 catches, 80 yards and a touchdown. And in week 4, got you 6 catches on 90 yards and a touchdown. So the upside is there. You're just not going to know when it's going to hit. All right, let's move over to our next grouping. And that will be the Chargers going up against the Baltimore Ravens. We're waiting on news about Mike Williams, who's currently questionable. He was a non-participant in walkthroughs for Wednesday. This could be maintenance, so monitor it on Thursday and Friday. Hopefully he gets ramped up to limited and then full participant. But he's been literally a top 3 wide receiver in fantasy. Look at his game log: 22, 22, 36, 39. He only had one bad game against Las Vegas. That was a primetime game. And he bounced back very well with almost 40 fantasy points against Cleveland. Baltimore is going to have a tough time. Even if they have Marlon Humphrey, they're going to have a tough time guarding Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen at 6,400. He's getting to a very cheap price, which he has never been at. He's become more of a possession. Well, he's always been a possession receiver, but he's not blowing up. It's not like 15 to 20 targets. It's more of a share with him and Mike Williams. He needs to get in the end zone to really have a really great day, but he's still a very dangerous wide receiver. And I think at this price, it's something solid to look at 6,400 going up against the Baltimore Ravens. All right. Let's look at our next grouping that we got going on, and that will be the Indianapolis Colts. So the good performance from Carson Wentz, hopefully it can roll over into this game. And I want to stick with their 2 top receivers. That's Michael Pittman, who is becoming an alpha. Had 6 receptions, 7 targets, 89 yards, and 1 TD against the Baltimore Ravens. Now going up against an even weaker defense in Houston at 5,500. That's a very, very cheap price. We're going to play him a lot for this Sunday slate. And then next, who's right behind him in team snap percentage, will be Zach Pascal. He was very productive in the early first 2 weeks, being more of the red zone guy. That obviously can turn around. He had some nice targets against Baltimore and Miami with back-to-back games of 5 targets and some in a longer 31 and a longer 41. So he's been very dangerous. So the question is, will he get in the end zone? At this price at 4,400, why not take a shot in against the Houston Texans? They should be able to exploit that defense, okay? So we like Zach Pascal. Let's see if we have any. If you want to bring it back, there's also some options because I did give you Davis Mills. So the options for the Houston Texans will be obviously Brandon Cooks at 5,800. If you're doing a stack, you can bring it back with him. He has been an all-star in the first 3 weeks. Since Davis Mills has taken over, you did see a little bit of a downgrade in targets from 11, 14 to 5 and 7. And as you can see, the 20-point games are not really there. I think Davis Mills is spreading the ball a little bit more now, and defenses are keying in on Brandon Cooks. But you could definitely go his route. He hasn't had a touchdown since week 2, and he has top-tier upside. If you're looking for anyone cheaper, the next guy in Team Snap technically is Chris Conley. He had a good performance against New England. 3 receptions on 4 targets on 85 yards and a touchdown. He lost the fumble, so he could have had a little more fantasy points and production. But he is a solid guy at 3,300 if you're looking for a punt flex play, okay? And then last but not least will be Chris Moore. He came out of nowhere, stepped up with the absence of Danny Amendola, had 5 receptions and an amazing touchdown over J.C. Jackson. 109 yards and a touchdown. That touchdown was at 67 yards, but he did provide production outside of that. Had 4 catches for about 42 yards as well. So I think they can get back to him. They might have a little gem there, and they did sign him to a contract for the rest of the season. So I think they might have a little bit of gem, have a little thing going on between Davis Mills and another big body wide receiver in Chris Moore. That could be very dangerous. Now let's look over to the tight ends, and we have some sneaky options here. Obviously, Travis Kelce is going to be the lead in the pack at 7,000. Was able to come down with 17 fantasy points. A mediocre day. considering it's Travis Kelce. He's used to putting 20-plus points, as you see in the first 3 weeks. They keyed on him and did very well, a very good job. So Kelce's in the mix at 7K. Obviously, you're going to have to sacrifice salary to afford him. Other options is going to be Mark Andrews going up against the Chargers. The Chargers struggle against the tight ends. They are third worst against the tight ends. Mark Andrews at 5,200 had a big blow-up game against the Indianapolis Colts. 11 receptions, 13 targets on 147 yards and 2 TDs. Lamar Jackson put the team on the back, and he was just feeding Mark Andrews and Marquise Brown. So those, obviously, if you're doing Charger stacks, you can bring it back with Mark Andrews, and you can bring it back with Marquise Brown as well. He's been very solid. But in the case of tight ends, we can definitely go his route at 5,200. They dropped his price $300, which is very, very shocking to see. So we like him. Next guy, we're going to go to Dalton Schultz. He's been pretty much like Cole Beasley Jr. for the Cowboys, or when Cole Beasley was with the Cowboys. He's coming up with very secure mid-range intermediate targets, just moving the ball down the field, and he's always been open. Obviously, there's a lot of eyes on Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, and Dalton Schultz is in the middle, just racking up catch after catch. He has 3 straight games in a row with 6 receptions. He has 4 out of his last 5 games with 6 receptions. He's getting 79, 58, 80, and 45 yards. Had 2 touchdowns against Philly and 1 touchdown against Carolina. This man has been a very solid player. We're going to throw him in there at the tight end spot. Not saying that's my favorite tight end. I'll speak about my favorite tight end right now, and that's going to be Ricky Seals-Jones. With the injury to Logan Thomas, this man stepped up, and the crazy part about this, it's a revenge game. A former Kansas City Chief, they had him last year. I think he's going to have a big, big game against the Chiefs. He had 5 receptions, 8 targets on 41 yards. You expect Washington to be down. They're going to need to feed the ball to McLaurin. Ricky Seals-Jones is a big mismatch at 6'5", big body tight end, and has speed. So he'll be someone at that min price at 3K that you should throw in your lineups, because he's going to be used at a very high clip. He's seeing a ton of snaps, okay? Second behind Kittle, and third behind Kittle, and what's his name? And behind Travis Kelce. I had a little brain fart. But yeah, Ricky Seals-Jones at 3K is one of my favorite options at that price. And then last but not least will be Evan Engram. With the injuries to the New York Giants, with the wide receiving core, this leaves a little bit of options to choose from for Daniel Jones, or if it's going to be for the backup. Evan Engram was able to come down with 4 receiving receptions for 55 yards, at 18-yard long. And it's going to be between him and Kadarius Toney, who's going to take the majority of receptions. I foresee a very good game for Evan Engram. And this price at 3,400, that's not him. That's not him. He should definitely be around that 5K range. He has the upside. He has the talent. The only problem with him was always drops. He hasn't. Well, I'm not saying he hasn't, but he dropped some balls against Atlanta. But against New Orleans, that was an overthrow, and against Dallas, he was short-handed. So I see some upside with the injuries to the New York Giants for Evan Engram at 3,400. So we got 2 cheap tight ends right there that you should go to, and that's Ricky Seals-Jones, and that's Evan Engram. Other than that, the higher price guys are in good spots as well. And if you want to finish out the lineup, some defenses to look at. One will be the Broncos. I think the Denver Broncos at home can take full advantage of all the turmoil that's going on in Las Vegas right now. You don't know how the team is going to respond. and there's a lot of question marks. But this is definitely a defense at home and at Mile High Air that they can take advantage of the Las Vegas Raiders. Another defense I'm looking at will be the Minnesota Vikings going up against Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold has been looking shaky the past 2 weeks with 4 to 5 interceptions in both games combined. So now you're going against a defense which still has a decent front seven, a front four technically, and the Vikings can take advantage of some mistakes from Sam Darnold. And if Christian McCaffrey is out, that only bodes well for them. Other matchup I'm looking for, I think the Browns can corral the Arizona Cardinals. If you're looking for a cheaper defense below 3K, the Browns have obviously coming off a crazy game against the Chargers, but this is still a very stout defense, and they're home. They can control the ball and control the game using their run game, and then trying to corral Kyler Murray. They definitely have the defensive ends to do that. So there is some upside there. Obviously, you're looking at it and it's like, oh, I don't want to touch that game. But this defense has upside, and they can definitely take advantage of Kyler Murray, who's been struggling the past 2 weeks, only able to pull up 17 points against a poor San Francisco 49ers defense as well. And then last but not least will be the Rams. Obviously, they're the highest priced, and the matchup is perfect. This is a nice stack. If you have Darrell Henderson, you could put the Rams defense at the bottom, and you have a nice game stack there. You always want to pair the running back with the defense, okay? That's more advised, okay? So let me know in that comment section down below if you have any other guys that you like at any other position. Is it quarterback, running back, wide receiver, or tight end? Let me know down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MessengerSD, and I'll be back with another video very soon. Peace out, guys.